Okay, so I am continuing with philosophy at college, and what we're talking about is the Matrix. But we're not really talking about the Matrix. The philosophy that are we really here or not? Believe this or not, it's a big question in college. But if you don't know anything about the whole college world and philosophy, you have to take philosophy in college. You would just, someone would tell you, are we really here or not? You wouldn't think nothing of it. You wouldn't think it was a big deal. You might think they're stupid. But how can you think someone's stupid when your professor gets up there and says, this is what Socrates said, one of the most famous philosophers of all time. Or, Descartes, some of these people. Are we really here? Or is it a dream? You know what I mean? What is reality? And so anyway, so she made our professor made us watch The Matrix, and in The Matrix, so I'm going to give you a little short description of the movie. We just watched the first one, and okay, in The Matrix was a movie that was made in 1998. That's when it came out, and so anyways, though it is. So what the deal is first the movie starts and there's this guy. Just a guy, he lives in an apartment and he's like a computer programmer or something like that. And he starts thinking, is this all really just a dream or is this reality? And so he thinks that his life that he is in is actually a dream. It's not real. So he thinks this his entire life, and he always wants to figure out what is the real world. Someone tells him there's a thing called the Matrix, and so he always wants to understand what this is. And so anyways, though, so they tell him, you have to meet this guy named Morpheus, and he'll tell you what it is. So he meets Morpheus, and Morpheus says, look, here's a blue pill, and here's a red pill. Take the blue pill if you want to continue living the life you're living. Take the red pill if you want to wake up from the dream you're in and find out what reality is. So he takes the red pill, or find out what the Matrix is. So he takes the red pill. And as it turns out, he is actually living in this thing called the Matrix. He was living there. And it was all a dream. And so what happened was humans invented machines, and then eventually machines took on a mind of their own. They became human, and they overtook humans. Okay, so what they did was they started growing humans and using their body for energy. So, but the humans would just be in this like little liquid capsule, and they would be dreaming. And the dream that they created while they're drawing energy from them. But they would think they're alive because they created this thing called the Matrix, which is exactly like reality is now, and they dream like that. So they're in a dream state, but in actuality they're just sitting in a capsule on what is now Earth, dreaming. Okay, so he takes this red pill and he wakes up. And what he finds is the machines have taken over, and it's been so many years that all the grass and everything, Earth is just desolate. All the buildings and everything are just torn down, and the people are just striving to survive. You know, these machines, they don't need any food or anything, so there's no food. You have to strive to survive. And so, you know, but there are still humans that are still actually alive and living in reality and are not, you know what I mean, that are not in these capsules, and they're trying to wake everyone else up. And so the way they're going to wake everyone up is they're going to wake up Neo first, or he's one of their priorities because they think he's the one. Because there was a guy, way back when the machines first started taking over, there was a guy who was really powerful, and he was more powerful than machines. He was like the most powerful human there was. He was actually capable of fighting these machines and defeating them. And he was like the only person alive that was capable of that. Well, one day he got caught or something and he died, but before he died, he promised he would come back to Earth in the future and conquer the machines. And so they think Neo is this guy who came back. And so anyways though, so he's awake now, and he's he's in reality. Okay, so they just asked us questions like, chicken tastes this way, but how do we know that's what really what chicken tastes like? When they're awake, they're eating chicken. He said maybe that's just the way the machines programmed our minds to say chicken tastes like. And so we debated about these things in class. We had questions, and it's just, if you want to learn about philosophy, one of the major things is what is reality and what is not. You know what I mean? I mean, really, philosophy gets into, did we come from monkeys, or did we come from God? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Those are two different philosophies. You know what I'm saying? So we argued about that a little bit, but when you get into something like that, it gets really heated. And that's why college is fun, because you have these heated conversations and debates. And there's really nowhere else that you can express your opinions rather than college. And also they asked the question, okay, so Neo was in the Matrix, right? Or he was living in the dream world, and they gave him a pill and he woke up. But how did he really wake up? Because they gave him the pill in the dream world. So wasn't the pill a dream? So that's one of the things we talked about, and you can answer these questions in the text, in the replies below if you want to. But it's just, what is reality and what is not? And if you could, in the Matrix, reality is more harsh than the dream we're living. So if you had a choice to continue living your great dream and you had a great life, or to wake up to what reality really is, which is worse, what would you do? So anyway, so I'll leave you with that question, and that'll be the question of this rant. And here's my answer. It depends on what reality is. If you woke up and reality was that you're sitting inside a red-hot furnace, yeah, you would want to go back into the dream world. So I'm saying, if reality was all screwed up, would you want to come back to reality? Some people say, oh, no matter what, I would want to come back to reality. But I dispute that. If you were actually living inside of a red-hot furnace, you would not want to come back to reality. So, and there's actually a guy in the movie who, his life is all crappy, and he's living in reality, and he decides, look, I want to go back to the Matrix. So he turns himself over to the machines, and he tells them where all the other humans are that are still alive and in reality, and rats them out so that he can be put back into the Matrix. But this time when they put him in the Matrix, he's going to be a really wealthy man, and everything's going to be perfect. So he sells himself out because he would rather be in a dream that was good than reality that was bad. So think about that. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.